And the outcome of this election obviously is not what we wanted. It is not what we worked so hard for. But I am proud of the race we ran, to be engaged in a collective fight for America's future. And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office.
I agree. That little tangent she went on, though, is just, it looks like excerpts from a self-help book.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. If you hear some construction in the background, they're working on some stuff outside, so sorry if you hear that. Kamala Harris, she's back. Anyways, but yeah, so people, I guess the reason why she did this video was because that people were asking, where are you? And apparently she went on vacation, and all that with her husband, and, and I get it, but they also said in this particular video, she looks drunk. And, that's...
Mom always looks drunk to me. That woman's never not looked drunk. I mean, she has always looked like she's had cocktails before she talks. I mean, all the time. I've never seen her not look
like that, tipsy.
Yeah.
So I wonder, but would she be drunk? I'm like, you think she would do that?
Either that or she's on some kind of Xanax or something.
Some kind of, sedative or some sort.
She always looks like that to me.
But yeah, anyways, so I'm just looking at this video of her.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Back at you, brother. And let me just say to everyone on this call, I am so grateful for you. And I'm so thankful to you. I'm thankful for your love of our country and your willingness to put the work into it. I'm thankful for the faith that you put in me and Governor Walz and our team. And I am thankful because I know your character is such that you're not going to get knocked down. And you're in this fight. And you're in it for all the right reasons. And I know that about you.
Here we go with the fight. I said this in the other video. What is the fight? Please, what is that? Is anybody a Kamala Harris supporter? What's the fight?
It's why you're part of this call right now and all the work that you did over those 107 days and even before. That's your nature. And the outcome of this election obviously is not what we wanted. It is not what we worked so hard for. But I am proud of the race we ran. And your role in this was critical. What we did in 107 days was unprecedented. Our understanding that the strength of our country will be a function of our willingness to put in the work. And that we will do that work with a sense of joy, yes. With a sense of work ethic and understanding it's going to be hard. But it's good work. It's good work. To be engaged in a collective fight for America's future. And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office. You put in the time. It was personal for you. And you gave all that you could to support our campaign. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion from grassroots supporters alone, the most in presidential campaign history. Nearly 8 million donors contributed an average donation of about $56 to fuel our people-powered campaign. Again, I'll say, the election didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Certainly not as we planned for it to. But understand that the work we put into it was about empowering people. That's the spirit with the work we did. Our spirit and our work was about saying that it is a strength that we each have to lift people up as opposed to beating people down. It is a strength we have that has lasting effect. So all that work that you did that was about engaging with other people, engaging with perfect strangers and in their face seeing a neighbor, that has lasting effect. It reminds people that there are leaders like you who care and will bring us together. And you know, sometimes in the darkest moments, people lose faith in that. Are there people out there that feel that way? And you reminded people that yes, there are. And there are a lot of us. And that strength cannot be taken from us. That is our strength. It cannot be taken from us. So listen, as I said the day after the election, I still strongly believe the light of America's promise will burn bright as long as we never give up. That is about a fight for the ideals of our nation, the ideals that reflect the promise of America. That fight's not over. So look, we still have a lot to fight for. That's not over. That fight's still in us, and it burns strong. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that. I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you. Look, this mission that we have, it takes hard work. But as you've heard me say many times, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And in doing our work, we will remain committed and intentional about building community, building coalitions, reminding people that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be armed with the faith and the fuel that tells us what is possible and then drives us to achieve it. So let's continue to organize and mobilize and stay engaged. And I thank you all. I thank you all. We are all in this together.
You know, when I look at her talk, it looks like she looks like she's talking to children. But you know, also I always think when I see her speak, I always wonder. Okay, I'm happy it didn't happen, but I'm just saying, how would she be in front of other like world leaders, like other leaders, like the leader of China, Great Britain, Canada, you know, Russia, Ukraine, and just any world leaders where it's real serious conversations. Because I say that because what happens with the left is that they talk a lot about inspiration and inspiring. And when I see other leaders talk in other countries, including ours, you know, Trump specifically, they don't really, I mean, like they are positive, but they don't have this kind of like, let's all band together and we are the world. And you know what I mean? Like they don't have that kind of like, it's a little hokey.
I mean, I think I don't know if what this was for. I mean, I think maybe...
I think you're right, to wrap it up.
I think it was just to wrap it up. But honestly, I think it's because she did so much damage to the party. Right, I mean, they're thinking about getting rid of MSNBC.
Yeah.
I mean, there are journalists, if you want to call them journalists, that they're thinking that CNN, MSNBC are thinking about getting rid of, that have been on their show for years and years and years, that they have overpaid for the last 15, 20 years, that went along with this whole Donald Trump's Hitler and went along with this, making people think that maybe she could win. Yeah. I mean, she's giving this speech like it was razor thin victory. It wasn't. She was demolished on he got the popular vote, the House, the Senate, the presidency. I mean, the Supreme Court. He demolished her and the party. And so I think, to me, what they're trying to do is maybe clean up. Because when MSNBC is going bankrupt right now, not only that, you know, shows on YouTube like David Pakman, Kyle Skalinski, Secular Talk,
here on independent media, here
Young
on
Turks
YouTube.
is now trying to.
They're losing subscribers.
They're all starting to lose subscribers because the people felt angry, and it's because no one really bought into what she was selling. I mean, even when she talks about abortion. a lot of women, 53% of uneducated white women voted for Donald Trump. Why? Because there were other things that were more important. And secondly, you can get an abortion. They know that.
But she ran on that.
But she made it seem as though you couldn't, like, if Donald Trump got an office, it was his idea to give it back to the states.
Right.
Which is what he did,
That's the compromise.
And now they're all trying to save the party.
Yeah.
By trying to come off tough. Like I was showing Danielle earlier, a video where this mayor or something was trying to go up against Tom Homan.
The mayor of Denver, Mike Johnson, says he's not afraid to go to jail for opposing Trump's border policies. Here's how incoming border czar Tom Homan responded to that. Roll it.
Me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute. It says it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also a felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. If he don't want to fix it, if he don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
Sheriff, are you on board with arresting leaders of sanctuary cities who don't comply?
Most certainly, but Stu, I'll tell you, it won't come to that. And the reason I say that, what we have are politicians in their communities that are looking to secure a vote rather than actually secure their communities from criminals. It's political fodder on their part. Anybody with any common sense would know that taking care of their constituents, taking care of the community, it is of the utmost importance.
Oh yeah,
talking about that he was going to do all he can. I think they're all doing that. I mean, Tim Walz did the same thing with Minnesota. If he comes in our town, it's like they're trying to give their party strength again. But again, they're not realizing that the majority of the country wants the illegals gone. The majority of the country, even if women like abortion, it was because we had inflation, we were in these wars, we were, because of the borders, because of people, our taxes being too high, people just can't pay their mortgages, things like that. Gas is too high. That people just thought, even Democrats clearly voted for Donald Trump.
And I think they don't understand the magnitude of the damage they did to the party. I knew that party was going downhill years ago, which is why I have not been a Democrat for years. But I knew that it was going to crash and burn when they started the DEI stuff. Because the DEI stuff definitely separated people from it. It created more little groups, and I have this thing where I have a problem with groups. Like I don't like. We've had a video about this a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, where I don't like when there's all these little groups and stuff. Because I think that with groups comes chaos. They implode usually, which is what's happening. And I think it was just kind of the wrong message and narrative with her campaign. The party seemed silly. And so her coming on here and talking about the fight, we're going to do the fight. The fight's not over. And our, freedoms. What? You still have freedoms.
Yeah. I think that they're so out of touch. I mean, even if you watch The View right now, they're still doing it. Yeah. Like they're tripling down on how Sunny Houston, all those ladies are tripling down. They're so completely out of touch. They're just in a bubble, and they don't realize that the world doesn't agree with them at all. They just didn't realize it. Even all these celebrities, they don't know regular people. Right. They know them as fans, like but they don't know them as regular people because they've been in their Manhattan, their Manhattan penthouses and their gated communities for so long that they honestly don't realize that. Look, you're talking to about 10% of the country. And if you look at the map, it did look like 10% of the country. It did. The rest of the country, black women, it's like they were talking to black women and gay people, because that's who mostly voted for them. You know what I mean? And she got the educated woman vote, but not by as much as Joe Biden did. So even those women just decided not to vote. Some voted for Trump. But so it's just like she just wasn't talking to anybody. I don't think that they realize that they're just not talking to any real people. And I'm not saying that these people that did vote for her aren't real people. I'm just saying that they aren't the majority. They're not the filling of the country. They are fringe people who are kind of a little like the crazy TikTok people that not even gay, like gay people who are crazy. Yeah. Not gay people who are like, what's his name? the one that has his show, Dave Rubin.
Oh yeah,
Not like that, like, you know what I mean, or you know, or like just like someone who it's the ones that are crying in their car, and hitting their head against the steering. It's like that's who you're talking to.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like a clown show.
Crazy feminists, that hate women, hate themselves, hate men, hate America. These people who want to, free Palestine. You know, that's not a lot of people. And I think that they had to look at the map. Oh my goodness, like this was not a lot of people we were talking to.
We were doing all this protesting, and look at the map.
And the only thing they can do is fight forward and try to fix it. But
I don't think so. I think it's be very hard for them to. Because I think we said this before, that they're going to have to go more center, and that's exactly what they don't want to do. They want to do this far kind of extremist thing, but the country is saying no. If they want to save their party, they're going to have to do something they don't want to do, which is go into the center. We on the brink of war. There's people who the gas prices are high, the grocery store bill is crazy. They didn't pay attention to any of those problems. They just went right to abortion and DEI.
And now half of the party, like Joe Scarborough, now they're all starting to sound, those people are starting to sound like, we shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have done this. I mean, they gave Al Sharpton, MSNBC or CNN, I think it's MSNBC, gave Al Sharpton a show. They gave Al Sharpton a show. For what? You didn't give Al Sharpton Joy Reid and her racist rants. I mean, she's still doing it. I mean, it's just
have y'all seen her? I'll show that clip of her.
I mean, this
nuts.
woman is a complete racist.
You right-wingers shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of your votes? You don't want to be around me because I voted for fascism. No fair. I'm coughing on you with COVID, but you want me to wear a mask for your safety? No fair. My body, my choice. Well, here's an alternative thought. Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone.
Well, that's MSNBC primetime host Joy Reid making the argument that families should not come together this holiday season. Politics above all, it seems.
If you expect the 73 million who voted for the prosecutor, not the felon, and particularly the 92% of black women who voted for Kamala to give you a cookie for your vote, a trophy, a hug, a high five, you might be asking too much. If we want to eat with you, we will. But if we just want some peace over the holidays and we don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey, get over it.
Look, I just think that they ruined their party. They tried to, they thought that they could make Barack Obama president, and they did. And they thought that they could just put anybody in there.
After that.
Well, now we can put a woman in and they'll vote for her because she's a woman.
She's weak.
It's like she never answered any questions. Nope. She had no policies anybody cared about. She never looked coherent when she was speaking. She couldn't answer any kind of real questions about the border. She, the absurd interviews. She just, this beta male husband, she tried to get Tim Walz in as to be the man, to get the man vote. And he was just complete beta. It was a disaster from top to bottom. She only had about 106 days to do the whole campaign because, Biden wouldn't step down. Then there was the tension between them two. And it was just a circus. And so it's like, after a while, it's like, why would anybody want to vote for this clown show?
Now, I think MSNBC, the ratings dropped immediately. I think after the election, right after the election.
Every news network except for Fox.
I think
Fox went up.
I think it dropped like 48% MSNBC.
But first, the post-election fallout is continuing to plague some of America's biggest news brands. Forbes reports MSNBC and CNN ratings slashed in half post-election. MSNBC's primetime audience has dipped 53% since the week before the election. According to new Nielsen ratings data, a steep drop-off for the left-of-centre network, rivaled by a 47% drop by CNN, while Fox News has largely held onto its audience since the president-elect Donald Trump's victory.
And it got worse every day. It wasn't like it just got worse every single day. But like Kara was mentioning, even the online YouTube left media, they are losing, subscribers.
There's a Jimmy Dore put up a video the other day. Cenk Uygur put up a X comment saying that the Trump, I'll show it to you, maybe you can get it up there. But what he basically says is the MAGA people aren't my enemy.
Did you see what Cenk Uygur tweeted out?
Oh, I bet it was something interesting and thought-provoking.
I've been trying
to
figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now, MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is my mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated.
Wow, straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's now
Wait
MAGA.
a minute.
I told you that.
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying that since 2016. MAGA is not my enemy; they're my neighbor.
He's not being funded anymore. So Katzenberg, whoever was giving him money,
Oh,
money ain't, you don't think that's what it is?
They invested.
He says what he's funded to say. Now he's going to say whatever he thinks will get him some money.
So
right?
I tweeted out, this unbelievably piece of shit ruined his show by relentlessly lying to his audience about Russiagate and accusing Trump of working for Putin and slandering everyone, including Julian Assange and me, over it. Now that his audience sees through him and he looks like a demented propagandist that he is, he's now trying to sound like me to gain some sort of credibility he lost long ago. He was foaming at the mouth in his enthusiasm for the Ukraine war, the Syrian war, and slandered anti-war journalists in the process. Cenk is a phony and a willing propagandist who is a cancer on the political discourse in America.
Oh, he's trying to save his show.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Jimmy went on and was just like, "This is and Jimmy wrote underneath his things that you are a complete liar and a buffoon, and you are trying to save your show and stuff." But look at how he's acting. They're all, some of them are realized, especially the ones that have been on, the social media for a long time and made money and a life off of it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh my God, I'm losing." I think David Pakman said he lost, 10,000.
He lost 5,000 subscribers, and then he kept losing more. Yeah.
And the reason why is because they kept making it seem like she was winning,
right?
And that he was actually trying to make up ground. And so when they saw the landslide, they were all mad. Their audience
viewers,
became really mad. You could look at the rallies and see that the rallies alone and see that Trump was surging.
Yeah. A lot of the left media, online and mainstream, were actually saying that she was going to get Iowa. Like, what would make you think? Y'all know the numbers in Iowa. Why would they ever even say that on air?
She didn't get one swing state.
Like, why would you
She
think?
lost every swing state.
It's like no one was paying attention. Like, they just were not
She
paying
had
attention.
one momentous moment, and that's when she said she was going to be the president, or she was running for president.
Right.
And then the momentum just...
Well, she had
started
a
to go
debate.
down.
That debate helped her when she was
A little
okay.
bit. But remember, even then, they said it didn't move the needle.
Yeah, and then he did the whole dog and cat thing, and that just messed it all up for her.
It didn't move the needle. It never did.
But like Joe and Micah, they're over there they went to Mar-a-Lago. They went to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump, and Trump is a pretty open guy, so he'll talk to whoever, right? If you're reasonable and normal, he'll talk to whoever. And they went, and
now
the other, you hear Sonny get mad. Sonny was upset at it. She said, "You don't have to go and bend the knee." I mean, I can understand. I'm like, no, what do you mean? They're trying to save their show. Number one, okay, they're trying to save their careers at this point. Because they're going to have to left-wing media. Well, first of all the media, with the exception of maybe less than 10% of the media, is all left.
Yeah.
So there is no real conservative mainstream media, which is why it's a whole joke to even go on watch CNN and MSNBC and all these different PBS and all these, because they're all going to be left. And so we have Fox.
Someone suggested Elon Musk buy MSNBC, and he said, "How much does it cost?"
I know, he said,
because
okay.
he did something similar with Twitter.
Yeah,
someone said that, and then he bought it.
He bought up all the shares.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now they're all losing it. They're like, "Oh my God, if he could," I'm just thinking, first of all, Trump won without the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I mean, so that just really shows you the mainstream media is good. Bye-bye.
It doesn't matter.
Nobody cares anymore.
Well,
the only people that watch it are people over the age of 65. I mean, that generation of people are the only people that are watching. Anybody under the age of 50 is online.
Yeah. And then also, that they were tanking in mainstream anyways years ago at this point, because they started getting YouTube channels. So all of the mainstream media has a YouTube channel. Like CNN has a YouTube channel, because they know that it's dead over there, and it doesn't help much more. Now we have just regular people getting bigger numbers. Regular people getting bigger numbers. And the whole reason why a lot of people like you and me, or whoever, even have like shows like this, is because people weren't getting any information over there on mainstream. And so people are like, I need some real information. And so you might as well just talk to people who are actually going to do some research, because for the most part, those are just like entertainment shows. I mean, they're like entertainment shows with a sprinkle of news.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, what do they say? They make millions of dollars. I mean, what do they say? Make $100,000 a day. Yeah. Some of these people. Yeah. Rachel Maddow makes $12 million a year. You know, what's his name? Anderson Cooper makes. I mean, these people make millions, and so they're basically just puppets. They just stand there and they get told what to read, and they read it.
More.
The media has been bought up by the military-industrial complex for years now. Yeah. Well, since like Clinton, because you know.
It's all left.
They've been, you know, the war machine, big pharma. They've all, if you see their like commercial every once in a while that'll pop up. They're sponsored by, you know what I mean? And so you know who's sponsoring them, and so they're doing the bidding of, you know, Wall Street and
Pfizer. Like you see all the big pharma,
right? Boeing,
all
you know what I mean?
them.
And so because of that, they're just doing what they're told. They get paid millions of dollars by these people and by, you know, to just spew, you know. So any candidate, I mean, they did the same thing for Kamala Harris as they did for Hillary Clinton, as they did for Barack Obama. Is they're just going to keep doing that because they realize that they have cornered the market in the mainstream media. So what they say can actually just be fact. The only one that was left was Fox. Yeah. And beyond Fox, really, it's just the online.
So, yeah.
And so now what they're realizing is that online really
is the place to be. Yeah. That's the place to be.
Because if you were back in 2016 when the Democratic primary was going, when it was Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders was an unknown. Hillary Clinton had a name recognition. So that was like the idea that he could become neck and neck with her as an unknown independent Vermont senator to the first lady, who's been not only first lady, she's been a New York senator, and she was the Secretary of State for Barack Obama.
That should have been their indication.
That should have been enough, but she was even shocked of how, and the reason why he was able to do that is because the independent media and online media pushed him forward.
Yeah. Also, vice presidents. So generally speaking, most people, they kind of fall in the background a lot of times. No one really knew Kamala. You know what I mean? Because he selected her because DEI. That's why he selected her, because she's black woman. And so she got thrusted up into the vice presidency, right? And then when she was going to run for president, that's when we finally got to see what this woman was about and how it was kind of shocking to see how inarticulate she is. Yeah. Well, I didn't realize how inarticulate that she was.
I mean, I think, and even her, I think she had won some things in California, but I think that she was in California. I mean, California is left from top to bottom. You know what I mean? So she'd never been on a worldwide stage. She'd been in her little cage of California, where everybody is liberal, and you know, in California. So. In San Francisco too. You know, everybody is liberal in California. I mean, it is one of the probably the most blue states that there is, and it's a big state. You know, so to put her on this national stage, where now you've got people from Texas looking at you, not just people from California, people from Idaho, people from Florida, people, you know, all these like very red states. They're like, oh no, you know what I mean? Even some conservative Democrats were like, because she lives in Marxism. I mean, they call it California for a reason, because it is pretty communist there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they want they want the U.S. to look like that. Right. And, you know, the country rejected that. It rejected DEI. You know what I mean? It rejected all of this racial idolatry. It rejected all of this transphobic, you know, transing the world sort of things, rainbow flags. We have a flag. Yeah. You know, the country just said no, you know, and I don't know. Everybody keeps thinking, some people said with the video that we just showed you that she's going to try to make a bid for 2028. Yeah, but remember when she was vice president and she was talking to those kids? Yeah. And they were all actors? Yeah. And then that became a joke. Do you remember all these people? She was just like, it turns out all these kids were actors. Yeah. She's talking about the space program. Then when she went overseas to talk to those leaders, about, I forget what it was about, but they had her on camera and she was actually trying to make the accent of one of the leaders, and they were like, what is she doing? Is she like trolling this man or something? She just kept laughing like she'd been drinking too much all the time, and so that's why she was the worst VP of all time. Remember Trump said we didn't even know that they got polled.
Yeah.
And they polled her. She was the worst of all time.
They don't really get polled, and I think they were really, if they do, it's a very under. I'm saying again, vice presidents don't usually get this big of a, J.D. Vance is a different story. Like he's, like people want. He's a totally different game because he knows exactly what to say. He knows what he believes. He's straight. He's a straight shooter. So I like him. And you would think that the person who is a heartbeat away from being the president, in case something goes wrong with the president, the person stepping in is going to be not giggling and laughing like that. So it was really kind of a bizarre. I just feel like this whole thing and her putting this video out sums up how bizarre of an election that was.
Yeah.
Because you could not foresee it going this way,
Like they floated the other day AOC being the 2028.
Yeah, they're confused.
Someone wrote the other day, I can't remember who it was, but he wrote, they just think that anybody can be president.
So what they're going to do right now is throw out, it's okay because it went horribly wrong. What they're going to do right now is what they do a lot is they throw out a bunch of names just to get the buzz going to see how people are going to react on the left. And if people start going, oh, no, start seeing a lot of people Twitter, post that and no, we don't want AOC or we don't want this lady, we don't want that, then they will back on that. Then it'll be somebody different. It's like an unofficial focus group to put a name out there to see if it'll land with the people on the left, the voters on the left, and if it doesn't, they'll move on. They'll move on to somebody different. She still has not talked about real policy. We still have gotten nothing from her, and we were never going to get anything from her. I feel like Kara was saying, I think she was put in place to be the puppet.
Yeah.
And I think that what happened with Donald Trump is that what would normally happen, I think, in a lot of presidencies, not all of them, I think a lot of times they are like just the face, and then the other people come in and then do what they want to do with the country. But I think what was shocking with Trump in 2016 and now in 2024 is that Trump really believes that he is the president and the head and the commander-in-chief, because he is. And when he started behaving as though, that scared them in 2016. That's why they're so mad right now, because they know that when he says he's president, and so we're getting a president and not just
this time they felt that he was going to pick his own people, because the first time, like they said now he's not going to have any guardrails. They kept saying that if he wins, he's not going to have any guardrails. And the reason why I believe that they were more afraid of him this time is because when he was president the first time, he pretty much had the swamp kind of around him, which means he just had company people around him, and they felt okay with that. I think just because they felt like he could be influenced. Yeah, because he didn't really. He knew what he was doing, but he was new to politics.
He was new to Washington.
Yeah, he was new to Washington. So, but now they've done made him mad. They're trying to send him to jail. They're trying to shoot at him. They've really tried to hurt his character. His family.
He's financing his own.
And now now he's mad. Yeah, and he's going to pick all the people he wants.
Yeah, down to the new pick for the FBI is the Kash Patel, which is a really good FBI director. People have been floating that name around for a long time. Wait for him to get nominated. Could be better than that. This is somebody who will go in there and just dismantle everything and literally drain the swamp. And they don't like Kash because of this reason. He also was he also got attacked by the FBI too. So some people are saying, he's going to treat this like a vendetta type thing, but it's like, no. He's going to do what he said. He's going to dismantle this thing and build it back up. It's a problem. The FBI is a problem right now on every level. They're completely corrupt. And there's always going to be corruption in politics and these 3-letter acronym government agencies. There's always going to be, some type of corruption. But what we've been seeing now is just like people just running wild and just doing whatever the hell they want to do with no action being taken on them.
I mean, whenever we say acronym, FBI, IRS, CIA, LGBTQ, BLM, it's always got something attached to it,
Right. So I like that he wants Kash up there. So that should be good. And Kash is there, and that's another thing is that people are getting upset that Trump is picking loyalists, right? So all his transition team and the people he's placing in the heads of these agencies, these are Trump loyalists. And people think it's not right for him to do that, and he needs to kind of veer out into other waters. I'm like, no. Why would he do that? If you are the president, you want people you can trust. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And President Trump wants some people around him who he can 100% trust, because in 2016 he didn't have the know of exactly who are the squirmy people and who are the slimy people and who are the good people, you know, whatever. But now he knows. He's been in, you know, Washington long enough now that he knows what's going on. So to me, I feel like him surrounding himself with people he can trust, you know, Homan, and now, you know, all these different people, what's his name? Hedgeseth. Whoever he's picking, I do know he trusts those people. So when people are saying, like, I was watching this video, this lady was saying this on News Nation. She said that he's like picking people around him that are all Trump loyalists only.
I do want to get your take on the breaking news that is coming into our newsroom. President-elect Trump selecting Kash Patel as his FBI director. As a former FBI agent, what do you make of this pick? Is there any insight into Kash that you can share?
Look, this is difficult because I really do try to be apolitical in the things that I say, but I want to back this up with a little bit of fact first. I think the first thing is there is no question, in my opinion, and I've been very candid about this, that the FBI does need some change. There's no question. But my concern about appointing someone like Kash Patel is this staunch loyalty that he has, and the fact that he has talked about before that he really wants to, I guess, almost seek revenge or avenge those who have wronged Trump. And that is not the purpose of the FBI. And so I am concerned about the scope he will have. However, at the same time, I do like the idea of reducing sort of the administrative workforce at the FBI, putting that back into the field office, and really have some institutional change. But I am very, very concerned that he will use the FBI as really a weapon to go after political adversaries, and that's not what its intent is.
Why is it important that the FBI maintain some level of autonomy from the president?
You know, I think the reality is both CIA, FBI, we really take an oath not to take political sides. Now, there is no question that there have been issues at the FBI and really the CIA, quite frankly, in doing that. And that's not doing them any favors in this. But it is really, really important that the American people see these institutions really as not being, you know, working at the behest of any kind of political party. They have to remain blind to that because justice is blind.
I'm like, why would you not do? Are you crazy? Why would you not do that if you're going to be the president of the United States? Doesn't make any sense to me. I want him to do that.
Yeah, Democrats do too. I mean, you don't think Kamala Harris was a loyalist?
Thank you.
She's going to play ball.
Exactly.
Pete Buttigieg plays ball.
Right.
Amy Klobuchar plays ball.
They all.
Elizabeth Warren plays ball. Bernie Sanders plays ball. They're company people. And now he's picking his own company.
And I agree.
That little tangent she went on, though, is just, you know, it looks like excerpts from a self-help book. I mean, you could put her in front of a mirror.
It does, though.
And just, you know, and just just saying her trying to affirm herself.
Did you see the videos? Okay. Have y'all seen the little AI doctored videos of her with the drink in her hand? I know y'all, that's probably in poor taste, but it's pretty damn funny.
Though it would be just so weird to see her as president, like, you know, the idea of, there's some people that can you imagine, like they keep floating around AOC, right? Can you imagine AOC was actually president?
Talking to Putin.
The way she looks and acts right now. I mean, that's the president. I mean, when I look at people, you still have to look presidential. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Kamala Harris was not presidential at all. Neither was Hillary Clinton. You know,
talking to NATO. Yeah. Can you just see them sitting there, just having a conversation with this coalition of look?
I mean, Jimmy Carter wasn't presidential.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? He wasn't presidential. There are some people that just are.
Trump definitely
Trump
is.
Looks like he's in charge.
I actually think
he's
Trump,
physically tall. You know, he's got a point of view
and a plan.
He's not someone who cries or whines. He's not someone who he just moves forward. You know, I see that same in JD Vance. I see that same thing in Tom Homan. I see that same thing Elon Musk. I mean, these are people that are leaders. You can see that they're leaders. You know, just by the way that they not only run their own businesses and their own lives, but just in the way that they walk, the way that they talk, they speak with. You know, you ask them a question, they answer a question. Yeah, you know what I mean.
They don't give you the stump speech.
They don't give, and they don't talk in circles. Like people do.
Right.
You know what I mean. So this is what I need for my own sanity, to see that people are on the job, not these people who are just trying to play with you. It's like, no, I'm not standing out in a line for 4 hours to vote for Kamala Harris. That just isn't going to happen. You know, that anybody who did that, I don't know why you would do something like that. But, you know,
anyways.
But, you know, some people did. Some people went out there and they said, you know, she's my one. Okay.
Let us know what you think. Leave some comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.